Okay, this is Dr. Robert Young again with our second recording for Roman and Elizabeth Pakula from Poland. They're currently living in British Columbia, and we've been talking about a cancerous condition of multiple myeloma and the origin of multiple myeloma, which is the genesis, which is in the interstitial fluids of the interstitium, the largest organ of the human body. And are you there, Roman and Elizabeth?
Yes, we are.
You can go ahead and start your video if you'd like.
Sure.
And we've been talking about the genesis or the pathology, but we've also been relating that to how our diet is really at the foundation of this condition. Of course, trauma to the body can possibly initiate some blockages or poor circulation. I've mentioned the COWS program and the importance of focusing on Chapter 5 as well as Chapter 11, which is the whole body, pH Miracle Whole Body Cleanse, the alkaline program that I suggest. You can also infuse alkalinity orally. You can infuse it rectally through colonics or through enemas, and you can also infuse it through the pores of the skin by bathing in alkaline salts. We call this a thalassul treatment. We do this in Sardinia, Italy. It's highly successful. There are baths of high concentrations of sodium at anywhere from 20 to 30% solutions. That's why you can float in these pools, but magnesium and sodium is very, very critical in any cancerous condition to restore the alkalinity. Two of the salts that I spoke about was the sodium bicarbonate and the potassium bicarbonate. These salts are produced by the stomach. The stomach's main purpose in the human body, Elizabeth, its main purpose is to manage and maintain the alkalinity. So true immunity, innate immunity to protect from cellular breakdown and to slow down the aging process or the deterioration of cell membranes and genetic mutations associated with oncology, all happens outside the cell. It's all about the epigenetics. So epi means outside the genetics, outside the cell. So I gave a metaphor, which was the fishbowl metaphor, that the fish is only as healthy as the water it swims in. The human cells, you have 70 trillion body cells. They are swimming in a fluid. That fluid is called interstitial fluid. The pH of that ideally should be at 8.4. How do you measure it? You measure it by testing the urine because the urine is a product of the interstitial fluid. So anytime that the pH is below 7.2, you need to take a scoop of 4 salts. 4 salts contains 4 salts of sodium and potassium bicarbonate with magnesium and calcium. The main ingredients that the stomach produces in order to maintain alkalinity is sodium bicarbonate. The waste product of sodium bicarbonate is hydrochloric acid. Anytime you have an upset stomach or you have nausea, it's because the body doesn't have enough alkalinity, and the stomach lining is what produces it, pushes it into the interstitium to protect the muscle and the bones and the heart and the liver, and you end up with a belly full of hydrochloric acid. So anytime you have a belly full of hydrochloric acid, you have an upset stomach. And upset stomachs are common throughout the world, but very few people understand the pathology of this. So anytime you have an upset stomach is that you've overindulged in alkalinity, or acidity, I should say, and the body, specifically the stomach, is managing the alkaline design. There's a group of cells in the brainstem. So if you've had any injury to the cervical spine, Elizabeth, have you had any injury to the cervical spine? That's the part of the spine that's up towards your head.
No.
Okay, that's good. But there's a group of cells called astrocytes. They're glial cells. It's called the nucleus of totalis solitarius astrocytes. These These grouping of cells is what controls the alkaline design, the biochemistry, your body temperature, even your heartbeat. When it's suppressed by either injury or if you're hunched over, make sure that your shoulders are back and that you're elongating your spinal column to take stress off the cervical spine. In addition, you have to understand if you're wearing a mask, that is going to be harmful to you because it's going to cause oxygen deprivation and increase hypoxia, which is going to affect these astrocytes that control your body temperature and regulation of your body chemistry. This is the group of cells that sends electrical impulses and controls the whole central nervous system. We have to activate that. It runs on electrons. It does not run on calories, doesn't run on protein, doesn't run on carbohydrates or fats. It runs on electricity, just like your cell phone. Now, you can't take your finger and plug yourself into a light socket or into any socket for that matter, because you would literally shock yourself from the force of that. And so you have to do it subtly, you know, and so you need to avoid shocking environments. So you need to limit the amount of radiation that you're exposed to, particularly Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a major contributor to damaging the blood and using up the hemoglobin. This is a major pollution to your environment. You're highly sensitive to electrical magnetic fields of energy. You need to protect yourself from that. I believe in what is called sympathetic resonant technology. I've studied it now for over 25 years. I'm with Beverly Rubik. We are published in peer-reviewed journals on the effects of electromagnetic fields on the human biofield. You are sensitive to not only chemical exposures from acids and foods, but also electrical and magnetic fields. So stay away from electrical appliances. Stay away from electrical cars. These are harmful to you. And only in limit, turn off your cell phone at night. Don't have your cell phone or your computers. Try to shut them down. And not just, you literally have to turn them off. And in some cases, if you're very sensitive, you have to put them outside your house. If you have an electrical meter, digital meter, that can also be a source of pollution. If you live next to a power plant or a plant that has lots of power lines, if you live next to a nuclear plant or electrical plant that is distributing electricity, if you're near to 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, these are contributing factors and do use up and damage the hemoglobin of the red blood cells. So I just want you to be aware of that this is a contributing factor. And electrical magnetic pollution is the most toxic pollution, more toxic than smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol is electromagnetic pollution. For example, exposure to electromagnetic pollution, from Wi-Fi and from cell phones is like smoking 300 cigarettes in one day. That's how toxic it is. So I want you to be sensitive to that and aware of that electrical magnetic and the magnetic field, which is more toxic than the electrical field, has been known by the Russians, by the Chinese, by the government. In fact, they use this against us, and they use it against each other. And what's going on right now, whether you believe it or not, is an electromagnetic war that's been carried out. And we just need to be aware of it, that it is a contributing factor to cellular breakdown. It upsets this. So if you can focus then on managing the alkaline design of the body through lifestyle, okay? And you can watch what you're eating. You can start focusing on building your blood, protecting your blood. You can recover from this. I don't think this, I know this because I see it happen. And I have seen it happen many times. Incurable diseases can be reversed when you understand the pathology. and how to protect the cell. So everything that you take, both in food, in water, in the air that you breathe, the environment that you live in, the exposures to electromagnetic fields, these all have to be analyzed and considered as contributing factors to your particular condition.
No, I understand, it's just, and it's good to know that, this, electromagnetic, environment that we're living in, yes, we could, somehow control our exposure, but there are many other factors that we can't. But, it's definitely good to know and good to be aware and somehow mitigate that exposure by, like you mentioned, turning off the cell phone at night. This is something that we will start practicing.
One of the best supplements to mediate electrical pollution and magnetic pollution is potassium iodide and potassium iodine. When Fukushima dumped a lot of its nuclear waste into the oceans, into the atmosphere, this has not gone away. It's still a problem. It's affected many shores, including the Pacific Ocean and the shores of California and Washington, or the coast, the Pacific coast. And so if you can move away from Wi-Fi and put into your home fiber optics, you're safer with fiber optics than you are with electrical magnetic fields that are surrounding you, creating a soup that's harder to heal in by having Wi-Fi on. If you have Wi-Fi, I highly recommend that you get rid of it. If you don't want to get rid of it, at least turn it off at night, so it's not disturbing your rest and regeneration, because it interacts with the lymphatic system, and it does affect these cells that I told you about in the brainstem called astrocytes, which are glial brain cells that control the homeostasis of the entire body.
Yeah, makes sense. Doctor, we have, I would love to continue talking, but, but I believe, you also have a limited time and we have only 5 minutes left. So I would like to start to summarizing and at the same time, maybe you will have some suggestions in terms of next steps.
Yes. Well, summarizing, you have several things that are focused on this protocol. The first thing is open up the channels of elimination. That's defecation, urination, perspiration, respiration. I gave you suggestions with whole body exercise that was low impact. Mm-hmm. Breathing exercise, meditation can also be used. Breathing exercise where you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, which is the normal process. So oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. The other thing is for defecation, you should be taking a product called Flush. And these products that I'm mentioning, you can order them at phmiracleproducts.com and to get these. But Flush is a combination of magnesium in the form of citrate and oxide. They help to break down undigested matter in the 9 yards of the intestine. So that's 27 feet. That's how many feet, but surface area is 7,200 square feet. That should be an alkaline environment. If you're taking any enzymes, if you're taking probiotics, if you're eating acidic foods, this all compromises that environment. So you want to discontinue the use of any supplementation of any enzymes, particularly any nutraceuticals or pharmaceuticals that contain hydrochloric acid, which is HCl. This is toxic to the body, okay? And then what you want to do is open up respiration. I would recommend using a nebulizer. I would recommend using 2 powerful antioxidants of N-acetylcysteine and glutathione, which are natural and are found within the body and in the cells membranes themselves that emit this glutathione to protect it against chemical and radiation poisoning. So I would suggest that you nebulize that at 10 mLs per session, doing that 2 to 3 times a day. You can get a nebulizer from your doctor. If you need the glutathione or N-acetylcysteine in a non-toxic, non-glycerin form, non-alcohol form, then you can get that at the same website at phmiracleproducts.com. So a nebulizer is very important for respiration and for infusing alkalinity there. I've also suggested to increase oxygen, which is or chlorophyll, by using concentrated chlorophyll products, eating more green foods, and drinking more green drinks. I've also suggested that all foods should be pureed or juiced, nothing chewed. If you're going to chew foods, those would be soft foods that are high water content, like cucumbers, peppers, or jicamas, another root vegetable that could be used to chew on, which is high water content, that are going to donate electrons to the body. And you can have as many avocados as you want, but make sure you add salt to that, because salt should be very common in your diet. You want to eliminate all sugars and add back in all salt. Those salts should be whole salts, like the Himalayan salts or the pink salts, or even the sea salts from an inland sea, from the Bonneville Lake, called the Great Salt Lake. So we have North Shore salts, the Redmond salts. These are all whole, non-processed salts that are very helpful, that contain, over 70 plus different minerals. So with the oxygen, back to the O, you want to incorporate oils. And those oils should be polyunsaturated oils from either fish oils or hemp oils or flax oils or black seed oils. You can also use olive oil, which is a monounsaturated, or avocado oils, mainly for their antioxidant value, not for its ability to bend and form the membranes of stem cells. You need to keep your environment alkaline, so you want to be testing the urine on each time Elizabeth urinates. The pH on that should be at least 7.8 or greater. The color you're looking for is a dark green or a blue to purple color. If the pH of that is lower, like at 6.8, each time she tests the urine and it tests out, a light green or yellow, she needs to take a scoop of the 4 salts, put it in a small glass of alkaline water, and drink that each time. We also want to improve circulation, which will increase her energy levels or percolation. That's with the L-arginine max. She needs to take that 4 to 6 times a day, 1 scoop, which is 10 grams, in a small glass of alkaline water that she takes in the morning and last thing before going to bed, and several times during the day. The purpose of that is to deliver very powerful antioxidants of resveratrol and pycnogenol, which are powerful antioxidants to neutralize the acids, such as lactic acid, that causes cancer. Cancer is not a cellular problem, it's a fluid problem. The problem is with the environment, not with the cells. The cells can live indefinitely if they're provided a proper alkaline environment. So you need to keep hydration going. She should be drinking at least 1 liter for every 30 pounds or approximately 15 kilos of weight. She should be drinking at least 1 liter per 15 to 20 kilos of weight of alkaline fluid. All that alkaline fluid should contain 10 drops of the prime pH and 10 drops of the purify, that will actually increase the electrical potential of the water and increase the nascent oxygen level of the water. In addition, she needs to put a micro scoop of the mulberry leaf chlorophyll into the water to begin the purification process of the alimentary canal and to begin the healing process of the small intestine, which is the root system of the body where stem cells are made, which are made in the crypts of the small intestine. This, when you start providing a proper environment, which is an alkaline environment at a pH at 8.4, all food must be liquefied. So that's why you're pureeing food, that's why you're juicing food. Once you do this, you'll notice you'll start accelerating the healing process, and you'll start building more embryonic cells that build more erythrocytes and more more of the red blood cells. And from the red blood cells, as you improve circulation, you'll start building muscle, heart, bone, whatever the body needs. The blood will go there and differentiate into new bone, new muscle, new brain, new heart, new liver. In fact, every 4 to 6 weeks, you get a new liver. So you want to build the best blood you can, because the quality of the blood determines the quality of what is being created in your body. And I gave you the example is when an egg is fertilized by a sperm, a drop of blood is formed. You need to understand, you do not build body cells with protein, you build it with blood. And the 4 components are blood, are chlorophyll, oil, water, and salt. We talked about the importance of water, how much you should be drinking. I talked about the pH of that water should be at least 9.5, ideally between 10 to 11. It should be electrically charged, which could be meterized or determined using an oxidative reduction potential meter. But I already know this, the water is going to be up around negative 450, ideally up to 750 to 800 millivolts. This is electron-rich donating food that's going to make, and it's also molecularly structured. So I also would consider purchasing a water ionizer machine that you can have in your home so you can produce this highly electrical ionized alkaline water, reduced hydrogen water that you can drink throughout the day. You can use it for cooking purposes. And you don't want to overcook your food, but you can steam it or heat it up. One of the things that I did not mention that I'll mention now, as far as transition, you can use tomatoes. Tomatoes contain lycopene and lutein, which are highly powerful antioxidants for neutralizing the acids that cause cancerous conditions. And so you can use that with a grain, which is not really a grain, it's a seed called buckwheat. Buckwheat has the texture of like seeds, or excuse me, like rice. And so it's kind of nutty. So you can use that in combination with avocado, with oils like oils from flax, seed oil, or from olive oil, or from avocado oil. And then you can also use salt liberally to salt up, because salt is necessary for the transport of electrons, and that's why our fluids are salted with sodium, because sodium ion is when it forms the matrix by which electrons are transported that then energize every cell in the human body. So buckwheat with tomato, with avocado, oil, and salt. The Russians lived on this, or the people of the USSR lived on buckwheat. Buckwheat is probably the most perfect food. And then when you add God's butter to that, which is avocado, you now have the perfect food. So I've talked about then salt, the importance of salt. Anytime that she's low energy, that's not low blood sugar, that's low salt, okay? So you don't want to eat sweet things, you want to eat things that are salty. So your diet should be more savory, not sweet. In addition, sunshine allows for the release of protons, which are absorbed through the eyes and the skin, that's converted into electrical energy. That's the purpose of the pineal gland, which is the light meter of the body that converts light energy into electrical energy, of which our body runs on. Our bodies do not run on sugar, they run on electrons. So once you get that, and you literally abandon the false narrative, of which is 99% of the scientific theory out there. This is why Neil Solomon, who was the head of Johns Hopkins University and research, he said, Dr. Young is on the threshold of a new biology which will change the medical and biology worlds as we know them today. So out with the old, in with the new. That's why I call it the new biology, the new chemistry, the new physiology. And when you read it simply in the pH Miracle Revised and Updated, and you follow the advice in chapter 11, you know, and the advice in and understand what's in chapter 5. You can read the whole book. You can focus because there's over 100 recipes there. I don't know if you have the book or not, but you can get it at phmiracleproducts.com.
We have the first edition, but not the latest one.
Okay, well, you can read that one, but you should get the latest one. The pub date is 2010, so I highly would recommend that to you, and to read that. I'm going to be downloading this information and then sending it over to you so you can then hear it again and listen to it. If you have any other questions, I can take those now.
Sure. So, Doctor, we definitely would like to, place an order for this, if I could use term supplements, those 4 salts and other stuff that you have mentioned. So if we do order, are you able to make a, well, you make a recommendation, but, can you send maybe just a brief email summarizing those supplements that we should take and how often we should take?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for you, for your wife, and yeah. So I absolutely will do that for you. To help you out. And so you're gonna get an email from me with my suggestions and recommendations, and then I'm also going to send this video recording over.
One last question, Doctor. How do we measure the success? Yes, you mentioned that, we should be testing her pH, on a daily basis. And even if we reach that, past 7.8 limit, is there any way that we could, see some kind of, success or progression?
Well,
other than just pH?
Yeah, on a baseline, of course, when you're doing PET scans or CD scans, here again, all you're looking at is anatomy. You're not looking at physiology or functionality. So it's like relying on, but it's like opening up the hood of a car, looking at the engine and going, oh, it looks good. Really? Anatomically, it may look good. Probably doesn't function, or, functions poorly. Here again, you cannot do that by just doing blood tests. You have to do interstitial chemistry tests with blood tests, and those can be done non-invasive, but there's only 2 places in North America that I know of, and that's in Los Angeles and at NASA. So you either have to be an astronaut or you have to fly to Los Angeles, which is problematic. The only other way is to do things possibly, I'll make a suggestion on what this I'm saying, on an international, through the mail, much like. But as far as testing anatomically, I recommend ultrasounds, sonograms. As far as testing the fluids of the body, yes, you can do blood tests. There are cancer antigen tests, but usually, you can ask. I don't know that there's anyone up there.
Yeah, so Elizabeth is going through weekly blood tests, and and we have received her blood test. I do have access to an online blood report, and there is quite a big section of chemistry. But I really, I'm not a doctor, so
you can send that to me, but you have to understand that's like going to a movie and watching 10% of it and walking out. That's only 10% of the fluid information. And the blood is tertiary to what's going on. It's not the genesis of disease. It's the after effect, as the blood cannot purify itself because the septic tank of the body is the interstitial fluid. That's the fluid that needs to be tested to actually get to the other 80 to 90% of what's going on. But unfortunately, in British Columbia, there's nobody doing that.
No, but I was hoping that maybe there will be a couple key indicators that we could use, as the last blood report.
Well, send it to me. Send it to me. Let me look at it.
After
yeah, we can look at hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a factor. We can look at red blood count. We can look at hematocrit. You know, there are those numbers as it relates to the blood, because I tie them directly to the health of the overall body cells. So, you know, can you tell me what her hemoglobin is? Can you tell me what her red blood count is? Can you tell me what her hematocrit is? Can you give me the white count? Can you
Yeah.
give me the differentials on those? You know, I mean, here again, we're looking at only 10% of the information that's necessary. But yes, it's like, oh, you know, someone came to the cliff, jumped off the cliff, and now we're studying the effects of what happened from the landing. You know, the idea is, of course, prevention is the key to the cure. You know, but the bottom line is that in order for us to really reverse this, and if you want true information, you have to test all of the extracellular fluids, not just a small part of the extracellular fluids. And of course, that would require, because it has to be done in person. And of course, we can't come to Canada, and you can't come to the United States for this kind of testing. But so you have to rely on what you can do. And so, you know, we'll just do with, you know, a chemistry of the blood with a total comprehensive blood count. And I'll look at those, and I'm happy to share my thoughts and on that information.
Yeah, that would be appreciated. And, you know, and maybe, you know, you know, if you could make a suggestion in terms of, you know, how we could, you know, reconnect maybe, you know, in a couple of months, and see if we have made any progress, and maybe take Elizabeth through a next level of that, you know, journey, and maybe, you know, you will have some you know, if we could dive even deeper, and provide some further suggestions.
Yeah, and life may get a lot easier around the world after November 3rd.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll just have to see what happens on November 4th, when the end of the pandemic will happen.
No, exactly. No, we look forward to it as well. But right now, we definitely want to focus on our household, and get Elizabeth as healthy as possible.
Does
And
Elizabeth have questions?
No, not really. I have one question actually. I understand all the fruits and vegetables, including tomatoes, are the fresh tomato. We're not talking about anything cans, right?
Not, yeah. The only time you would use can is if you don't have the option for fresh. I mean, it goes fresh, organic,
Yeah.
you know, pesticide, herbicide, insecticide-free, organic, fresh. I mean, even farm picked is even better. But you know, this is always good. But it's like anything, you need it in concentrated form right now.
Right.
So juicing and pureeing becomes very, very important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see your face. I can. You have a kind face. I can see it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So healing has to take place by managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids. And I know this is difficult because we've been unfortunately programmed to believe that cancer is a cellular problem. It's not about the muscle or the bone cells. It's about the environment in which those cells live in. And so when you clean up the pollution, that is the solution. And you just need some powerful tools to do it. And so it's a great opportunity for you to learn and grow through this experience, you know, and to recover from it. I believe you can.
I believe so. I will do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and, you know, crying is very alkalizing. So cry a lot, you know, bottle your tears, drink them, you know. Tears are salty too. Take a lot of salt, okay? And you know, this is all good for you. So I'm happy to help you in any way that I can.
Okay, thank you very much, doctor.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so can we reconnect in a couple of months, doctor? And then,
Absolutely. I mean, we'll probably be talking more than that. I'll send you out this information, and you can review it and think about it. Pray about it. And then exercise your faith and move towards the light.
no, for sure. We will definitely do that. That's definitely it starts to make more sense, and it's definitely inspiring. And we definitely want to see a light at the end of the tunnel. And now that we have a plan in place, it will definitely help us through the journey.
All right. Well, lots of love. Thank you, and God bless you both. And we'll be talking soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks again, doctor.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.